But yeah, let's take a few more minutes of this in. There's a couple other interesting parts of the conversation. Specifically, Zach, I know you're going to want to react to RFK's potential VP pick. This is unhinged.
VP shortlist?
I wouldn't talk about it.
Well,
I enjoy you.
Give me some criteria type of people you're looking at. Sean Fain of UAW. I put him at the top of my list.
How about Dana White?
Oh, that'd be interesting.
That would be interesting.
You would get a lot of
no
press.
comment on that one. No comment.
What about Tucker
is that a serious like?
What, God? He floats a billionaire who is chiefly known, one, for being an absolute Donald Trump ball licker. Just like the number one MAGA guy always goes out with Donald Trump. They're like, it's weird. There's like a brigade of guys that'll all go out with like fucking Tucker Carlson and Dana White and Kid Rock. Yep. You know, in passing, I've heard that Joe Rogan, doesn't avoid those settings either. And going in there and it's like that brigade. So not only is this guy a billionaire who makes his living off of the backs of fighters who he rigidly exploits, he doesn't give them health care, guys. He doesn't give the people that are making him billions of dollars that are breaking their bodies. Do you know what some of the fight deals are that these guys are getting? They're usually on like 5 and 5. Maybe it's a 10 and 10 situation now. 10 for showing up, 10 if you win. But that just means, meat grinder. You have to pay for your gym. You have to pay for your training. You have to pay for all this other stuff. And then they're also like, oh, you can't sign any of your own sponsorship deals because we want to be able to, have all of the like rights to you. You sign that away when you join the UFC. But then also, raising UFC fighter is never going to happen while I'm here, dude. It's insane. That's why we gave a lot of attention to Francis Ngannou, who I admit I was wrong. I thought he was gonna be, dead meat with Tyson Fury in a boxing match. Showed us that he's potentially the greatest combat artist of all time. But anyway, we'll get into that at another point. He went to war with Dana White and saying that he wanted like fighter representation. He was the sitting heavyweight champion, the scariest motherfucker on earth, one of the most incredible athletes the UFC had ever fucking seen ever, period. Okay, was making the sport so exciting. He'd learned so much. I remember when he lost to Stipe and it was like, oh my God, this guy has no idea how to wrestle. He'll be done. Went back to the mats, learned how to wrestle, became heavyweight champ. It was an amazing story, a Cinderella story. This guy dug fucking sand in Cameroon and escaped as a refugee. He slept in the fucking subways of Paris. Okay, learn, fucking incredible story. And Dana White says, no, I'm throwing that guy away because he wants what's right for the other fighters. That's the dude that you're floating as your UFC pick. I don't even have to get into the disgusting comments that Dana White said. The fact that he's a wife beater. Yeah. You guys know that we reacted to him. He fucking slapped the shit out of his wife on camera on New Year's Eve. You're going to run with a wife beater?
Yeah, that was recently too, right? Not like years ago.
It was the most recent New Year's Eve. He slapped the shit out of his fucking wife. It's embarrassing. And I felt bad for her. She stays with him. It's not that first time he's fucking hit her. If it's on camera, they get him. Oh my God, what a disgusting disgrace sack of shit. Fuck Dana White. And also Dana White used to fucking get all like huffy and puffy about how like, oh, we're never gonna allow like wife beaters or woman beaters in the UFCs. Like there's no coming back from that, yada yada yada. But it was really just because he didn't want the image of the UFC being like, oh, we're creating a bunch of violent criminals, because they were constantly battling legislation from old farts like John McCain who wanted to ban the sport. And I don't agree with that either. But anyway, Dana White is literally the scum of the fucking earth, the bottom of the barrel. And the fact that this guy's on the tip of his tongue, even as a joke, even as like just like a fucking superficial suggestion, it just shows that, one, he's desperate for access to deep pockets, which he knows that Dana White would fucking give him. Dana White's never going to team up with him while Donald Trump is running for president, though. He would he's too smart. He knows he's way better off fucking cuddling up with Tucker and Trump and Kid Rock and all those guys. This is just absolutely absurd and ridiculous, and just shows how out of touch and what a loser RFKJ is. It's truly sad. He's just a little boy that's like fucking, dressed up and trying to run for president. He's so fucking delusional. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Oh, it's humiliating, honestly.
It really is the bow on this entire conversation, like Vicky says. Like, and just in case you were worried about any of that shit he was saying earlier being like at all serious, don't worry. This is not a serious individual we're talking to today. I do wonder though, Zach, if you have any actual predictions for who RFK would choose as his vice presidential pick. I think it's probably Tulsi. I don't really see it being anyone else. It seems like they're birds of a feather ideologically. And they've posted photos together. They seem to be homies behind the scenes. So that's my choice or my prediction. Do you have any ideas?
I think that if she accepts it, that would probably be his first choice. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to like really think out there. I think he's going to try and catch some headlines. I'm going to go ahead and put my thumb on the scale and say that he's going to run with Kanye West. No. I actually have no idea. I'm here to wait and see. God, it can't be anybody too close to Trump, but it's clearly where his mind's at. He wanted Trump to not be able to be in the election, and that's how he would have found a huge lane for himself. Because I think the fact that he's not going to be able to get the Dana Whites and all the people in that apparatus, because they're all going to be Trump. I saw Kyle actually very disappointedly. He made a video about John Daly. Or is that the guy's name? The fucking golfer, right? He's the fucking like dude that would.
Yeah. I don't know his name, but I saw that he did that.
Yeah, John Daly's the golfer. I think, yeah, anyway, the fucking big ass dude that looks kind of like Santa Claus now, but he always wore the wacky outfits and he would gamble like fucking 50,000. That dude has crazy life. Anyway, he's a big Trumper. Called him Daddy Trump. I watched Kyle's clip on I was like, oh, it's a little golf crossover. I love to support sports content on the left. Anyway.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Also, big Trump guys. Like those guys are all like the big. Those are like like the golfer guys, like the NASCAR guys. Those are people with a lot of clout. The UFC guys, the Kid Rock guys. If they're all going behind Donald Trump, it doesn't leave a lot of room for RFK to try and poach a guy like that. So I think Tulsi is just like on the outs enough with everybody that she'll be willing to be the like diet Trump option. For him to satisfy that, because she was like Tucker's guest host for a while, then everybody immediately stopped caring about her when Tucker Carlson went and left the Fox News network, which I thought was interesting. And honestly, just once they didn't give her a full-time show, but they started letting her do more stuff, right? I just feel like she fell off. She's like no longer really relevant anymore because she's not towing the line of being the like, you were once a progressive, but now you seem to have entirely shifted your politics to find out that the right wing was actually correct about everything.
Yeah, totally. And much like RFK, she loves to pretend to be the loudest and proudest anti-war voice until you actually do any investigation into her positions on basically any war. And then you realize that, nope, she's actually more pro-war than your average politician somehow, despite claiming to be a dove, I guess.